Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Choice Bits of Bliss. Today we're doing something a little different, and you're going to see my hands flailing around because I had created this really long video showing you how I go through the process of mass making or batch processing. And it went well for a bit, and then I got interrupted a couple of times, and it just became kind of disjointed and I didn't even get to finish my layouts because of the disruptions. And that's life, right? That's the life we live when we enjoy hobbies or anything that we are doing very frequently. Things go off script. And having to balance that with our hobbies, doing things that we love, is just part of the game. So, what I'm showing you now in part of this process is that to make it easier to mass make, find a sketch or maybe two, I have two, that are very similar in design. And I was showing you that both of these sketches have that large band in them. So now I'm going through my papers. One of the things that I did to simplify this process was to pick one collection from my spring kit so that my choices would be limited. I had made a list of things that I do, kind of like rules that help me stay focused when I'm in a batch or mass making process. And one of the things that I do right away is have my photos printed. That to me just simplifies how this is going to move forward. If I already know what photos, what stories I want to tell. The second thing I do is select a sketch, and you saw that in the beginning that I had done that already. I'm doing this now. The third thing is selecting papers, and that's what I'm showing you currently, is the process of culling the papers that I don't want to use out of the kit and selecting the papers and selecting them for their purpose as I'm going through what the collection offers. The fourth thing that I would do is select my embellishments. Now, this is something that is pretty simple for me because I typically keep my embellishments with the collection. So once I buy a collection kit, whatever embellishments I chose to buy with that kit or that collection, they all stay in the same bag or pouch. And that just reduces me having to move around my room looking for things. It's all together. The fifth thing that I would do is begin to cut my papers, and you will see that as well as we go through this process. And then the final thing I would do is build my layouts. And I do it in this kind of process assembly line type order to so that my movements are more efficient. And as I'm right now, I'm selecting 3 papers per layout. So I want to complete 4 layouts using this same design. And I'm showing you how I am selecting and choosing what each paper will serve in that process. And I'm making sure, especially when you're going from the same paper pad or the same collection, it's designed to all work together. So that makes it super easy. You don't have to double guess that. I ended up making 5 kits, and I will only show using 4. So now we're at the trimming our paper process, part of the process. I'm going to pause here for just a second and let you just watch how this goes. I know that that top is going to be matted on that bottom one, so I made sure that I went ahead and cut it to where I wanted it to be. So now we have 1 kit trimmed. We're going to move on to the second kit and then trim it out the way that we wanted. On this one, the striped paper, I wanted it to be a horizontal stripe and not a vertical stripe. So that's the way I made that selection. And I'm showing you now that I have the 4 kits ready to go. And now it's just time to adhere the papers down. Once again, I'm moving through this assembly line style. I'm not measuring. I'm simply eyeballing it and laying my papers down. I had initially thought that I would use that gray as my background, the matte, and then I changed my mind and decided to go with the gingham. And I like I like how it ended up looking. On this one, I definitely could have gutted the paper to make it work, but for time efficiency, I elected just to use another piece of paper. And these papers, I changed the side that I was going to use. I'm also trying to minimize that large floral design in the bottom left corner. So now I am selecting the photos that I want to go with each kit or with each layout. One of the ways that you can vary using the same design is having different sizes of photos, your photos being in different orientations, and then the number of photos that you're placing on your paper. It is, if you don't want all of your layouts to look so similar, using different designs of paper will help give you those variations. And then you can also turn the sketch so that it looks different. Now, I selected to keep my band going horizontal on all 4. I'm going through selecting which tags I want to add because that was part of the design. I'm not trying to create exactly the same thing as the the sketch showed, but I am keeping the spirit of it for sure. I wanted to make sure that I had the tag in front that would allow me to do a little bit of journaling. I didn't need to do a ton of journaling, but I wanted space to do some. And I'm adding my title. These layouts are going to be, they're pretty minimal in their decoration and how I make my clusters and even with how much I layer, because this is about creating when you're under time constraints and just getting that, for me, I won't speak for everyone, but for me, being productive is something that I value. Getting the projects completed is really big for me. And this kind of feeds all of those elements in my personality. Now we're moving on to the next layout. And I elected to use this 6x8 piece from my winter kit to mat my photo on. That is another way to add variety to a design, is just to go off script a little bit. I'm putting my tags in a different orientation. Once again, that's providing a different look than what the sketch has. The original video was about 44 minutes long, and that sounds really like a really long video. However, I got 4 layouts mostly completed in 44 minutes. I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. I really wanted to use that frame and it just didn't work. It just did not work. At any point in time, if I start feeling stuck, I immediately just moved on to the next one because I could always go backwards. But in the spirit of honoring the time that I knew that I was short on, I wanted to make sure that I made decisions as quickly as possible and then moved on. On this one, I'm adding this fishtail banner because, once again, it's providing a different look to that same design. If you're keeping score, we're on layout 3. And I'm on the 4th layout now. I'm being cognizant of the fact that there are times that I do begin to feel somewhat stuck. And I have to remind myself to just keep moving forward. I changed where my photo was because I typically lean toward the left side for my photo focus, and I just on purpose changed it up. And we're getting close to the point that I get disrupted. And I had already had to pause to answer a phone call, and then I'm coming to this next disruption, and I uh, changed this layout up quite a bit after I got disrupted. So you'll see that toward the end when I go through the layouts. I wanted to use those hello stickers look like stamps just so that they would start bringing in a little more color. I couldn't decide if I wanted to cut into that paper, and I ended up doing it because I had pretty much run out of my tags that were scraps, that were leftovers. Even with taking time to trim out my tags and punch their holes, I was good with that. Now we're to where I'm doing a little bit of review, and then I got disrupted. So Now we're just reviewing the layouts I made. The next three layouts that you see are going to be based off the second layout where it has that large banner. And I turned it and went vertical with it, as you can see. And on this layout, I'm showing that I used that pattern that's in my banner and made 3 circles to create my clusters. And then that floral arrangement is cut in half. It's something that I fussy cut and then used it onto different places. The banner changes sizes, and that is another way to add variety. This layout, I simply wanted to make a grid and to use a certain paper, so it was just to make me happy. Here is where you can see this layout changed quite a bit. The hello stickers came down to the bottom right. The bottom left. They were at the top. And I just am showing how I finished up each layout with some finishing touches. And I'm pretty pleased how this all turned out. I ended up getting 8 layouts completed. Not in the 44 minutes. That was just the 4 layouts that I did the mass make. The rest I completed later. Thank you so much for joining me. Come back. We will chat again soon. Bye-bye.